Naruto woke up with a grunt. Damn couch. Damn me for being a fucking gentleman. Damn puppy dog eyes. He thought as he sat up. Mai had utilized the feared puppy dog eyes on Naruto in order to get the bed. Naruto tried to resist. Needless to say, it didn't work. He got up and dressed before leaving the still sleeping Mai a note saying that he was going out to train. As soon as he left the apartment, he saw the devil in green coming out of the apartment next to him. He's my neighbor, he thought as he saw Guy doing his morning stretches. Good morning, Naruto-kun. Do you wish to run around the village with my own youthful self? Guy shouted when he spotted Naruto, who cringed at the volume before shaking his head. Sorry Guy-sensei, I'll do my running at sunset. It's nicer, Naruto said with a smile. Guy's eyes widened. Of course, your youthfulness has reached new heights, Naruto-kun. I will also start running at sunset, Guy shouted before going back into his apartment. Naruto just stood there with his soul hanging from his mouth. What have I done? He thought with a twitch of his eyebrow. 10 minutes later we find Naruto on training ground 14 with sparring with some cage bunchins. He was a little worried about facing Neji. Neji's eyes were able to see chakra and had nearly 360 degrees view, so Naruto could not try and get behind him or hide any cards under the ground. Damn Hyugas. After his training he walked into his favorite dango shop to find Anko happily munching away. Why am I not surprised to see her here? He thought and walked over to her. Ohayo Anko-chan, he said and was greeted by a wave. Ohayo Naru-kun, what's wrong with your neck? Anko asked when she heard him groan and stretch his neck. I slept on the couch. There was this girl, Mai. I met her at the poker tournament the other day and the Hokage sent her to live with me, he said as quickly as possible before diving for cover behind a bench. Anko just sat there with a raised eyebrow. What? Slower please. The Hokage sent Mai to live with me until she can afford her own apartment, Naruto said, still hiding behind the bench. Anko just shrugged. Okay, she said, making Naruto sweat drop. That's it, no punching, kicking or going on a rampage? He asked with a raised eyebrow. No, why should I? You're not doing anything with her, are you? She asked with a dangerous tone in her voice. No, Naruto exclaimed. I just assumed that you might get a little jealous of me living with another woman. I mean, you've become jealous for less before, he said, and Anko shrugged. Yeah, but that was before we became an item. I know you'll be faithful to me, she said with an overly sweet smile. Won't you? Naruto felt a shiver go up his spine. Oh, of course, Anko-chan, he said before grabbing a stick of dango and sitting down. Anko just smiled before eating the rest of the dumplings. Later that night we find Naruto slowly opening his door with his soul once again hanging from his mouth. Why did I have to tell Guy that I run at night? Had I kept my mouth shut, then he would have continued running in the mornings. Damn me, he thought as he entered his apartment. When he got inside he found Mai sleeping on the couch in front of the TV. Yes, the bed is free, he cheered in his head only to be disappointed by Mai as she opened one of her eyes. The bed is mine, she said, simply making Naruto cry silent tears. Damn woman. The month passed quickly for Naruto, as all he did was train and try to screw Anko into submission. Now he was standing in the arena with all the other genins, waiting for the third exam to start. A man with a senbon in his mouth was standing in front of them with a bored look on his face. The Hokage stood up from his seat and coughed lightly before speaking. Thank you all for coming to the Hidden Leaf's Chunin selection exam. We will now start the main tournament matches between the 8 participants who made it through the preliminaries. Okay, take a look at this, the man with the senbon said to the genin and held up a piece of paper. Uzumaki Naruto vs Hyuga Neji. Uchiha Sasuke vs Sabaku no Gaara. Aburame Shino vs Sabaku no Kankuro. Nara Shikamaru vs Sabaku no Tamari. That's odd. Wasn't Shikamaru supposed to fight that Dosu guy first? Naruto thought and looked at Shikamaru, who apparently thinking the same thing. Did he quit? Now that that's settled, I'm the proctor for this exam, Shiranui Genma. Now let's start the first match. Can everyone except Uzumaki Naruto and Hyuga Neji please leave the arena? he said, and everyone except said Genins left. Naruto and Neji now stood facing each other, one with a serious face and one with a bored look. Are you ready? Ganma asked the Genins, who nodded. Good. Then let the first match, Uzumaki Naruto vs Hyuga Neji, Hajime. He said before jumping away. You might as well give up. Fate has chosen me as the victor of this match, Neji said as he slipped into the Juken stance. Naruto could have sworn he heard a woman shouting, "No, I haven't," in the distance, but shrugged it off as nothing. Instead he just cocked an eyebrow and looked at Neji with an amused look on his face. You're pretty full of yourself, aren't you? He asked with a smirk. How can you know what fate wants? Because I'm a Hyuga. Hyugas are the best in the leaf, Neji said in an arrogant tone. Naruto just raised another eyebrow and put a hand on his chin. The best, huh? He asked, and Neji nodded with a smirk. Then tell me, why hasn't a Hyuga ever become Hokage? Why isn't any of the Sannin a Hyuga? I'll tell you why. Because you suck, he shouted, pissing Neji off. Shut up, he shouted before charging and trying desperately to hit Naruto with a flurry of Juken strikes. He failed miserably though. Naruto stopped dodging and jumped away before smirking. You're pretty good at this, he stated, making Neji smirk back. Thank you. I practice 4 hours a day, he said, making Naruto raise an eyebrow. I think you need to find yourself a girl mate, he said, making Neji charge again in Naruto BG and dodging again. Pausing, he looked at Neji. Or, perhaps the reason you practice 4 hours a day is that you already found one, but are otherwise incapable of wooing said strumpet, he said before looking down at Neji's crotch. You're not a eunuch, are you? Neji just looked at him with a twitching eye. Shut up and fight me, he shouted before charging again. Naruto just sighed. Fine, he said before summoning his staff. Let's do this, he said, and rammed the staff into a charging Neji's nose. Ha, didn't see that one coming, did ya, biatch? Neji held his bleeding nose and looked at Naruto with contempt. Why do you defy fate? He asked angrily while Naruto just shrugged. I dunno, I just don't like the thought of someone else controlling my life, he said before raising an eyebrow. Why do you believe in fate so hard? I'll tell you, dropout, Neji said as he started to untie his headband. About the Hyuga's curse of hatred. Please insert tape labeled, Neji's hate speech, here. By the time he was done, Naruto was faking sleep. When he heard that Neji was done, he clicked his tongue. You done? He asked with a raised eyebrow. He then proceeded to take out a deck of cards. I'll show you, Neji, that you can defy fate. When I become the Hokage, I'll remove the curse seal for you, he said with a smile before pumping wind chakra into the cards and throwing them into the air. Ninpu. Aim no Gojuni Karuta, he shouted, and the cards charged Neji, who quickly performed the kaden. See, you can't beat me, Neji said with a smirk before the Naruto in front of him poofed out of existence. Nani, he shouted before 2 hands came out of the ground and grabbed his ankles. Doden. Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, Naruto shouted before pulling Neji down and later popping up in front of him. Gotcha, bitch, he said with a smirk while Neji tried to skirm his way out of the hole. Don't even try. If you feel around for a moment, you will notice that 4 of my clones are currently down there, each holding a kunai at a vital spot. I win, he said before getting up. Hyuga Neji is unable to continue, Shusha Uzumaki Naruto, Genma said while the crowd broke into cheers. Naruto looked up with a surprised face. Wow, not all of them hate me, he stated before helping Neji out of the hole and walking back to the waiting room. Can Uchiha Sasuke and Sabaku no Gaara come down here for the second match? Genma asked as he stood in the middle of the arena once again. Up in the Hokage box, a Junin by the name of Raida poofed in next to Sarutobi and leaned in next to him. We can't find Sasuke anywhere. What do we do? He asked the Hokage, who sighed. There's nothing we can do. Rules are rules. All we can do is disqualify him, he said, making the Kazekage eyes widen. Demo Hokage Dono, most of these people came here to see the Uchiha fight. I am actually pretty psyched to see him fight my strongest genin, he said, and the Hokage shook his head. I'm sorry, Kazekage Dono, But if someone can't come to an appointment on time, they are not shonen material, he said and turned to Raida. Disqualify him. Hi, Raida said and shunshined down to the arena before whispering in Genma's ear. Genma nodded before looking up at the crowd. Uchiha Sasuke is not here. Therefore he is disqualified, he shouted, making the crowd burst into a disappointed roar. Up in the Hokage's box, a man with white spiky hair, red lines down his eyes, green clothes with a red vest and a demon headband with the kanji for oil on the plate poofed in next to the Hokage. Yo, sensei, he said, making Sarutobi raise an eyebrow. Jiraiya, what are you doing here? He asked and Jiraiya shrugged. Meh, not much, just want to see how the Gaki is doing. Jiraiya said and the Sarutobi smiled. He's doing just fine, you just missed his match against the Hyuga prodigy. He won, by the way. Yeah, I figured as much. Jiraiya said and sat down. The Kazekage watched as Jiraiya sat down and turned to one of his bodyguards. Call off the invasion, we have no chance of winning with him here too, he said and his bodyguard nodded before poofing away. Shino became the winner of the next match due to Konkuro giving up, and then Temari won due to Shikamaru giving up after catching her in his cage main no jutsu. It is now time for the second round's first match. Can Uzumaki Naruto and Sabaku no Gaara please come down here? Genma called and said genins used their respective shunshin to get down from the waiting room. The two genins stood staring each other down, one with a bloodthirsty grin on his face, the other with a bored look on his. Are you Reed? Genma started but was interrupted by a whirl of leaves in between the two genin. In a poof of smoke Kakashi appeared with Sasuke standing next to him. Are we late? Kakashi asked lazily and Naruto glared at him. Yes you are. Sasuke got disqualified and I'm going to fight this guy now, so can you please go away? He asked, pissing Sasuke off. What do you mean disqualified? You can't do that, I'm an Uchiha. Sasuke fumed before being led away by Kakashi. Now that that's taken care of, are you two ready? Genma asked and the two genin nodded. In that case, second round, first match, Hajime. And as soon as he jumped away, Gaara sent a wave of sand towards Naruto, whose eyes widened slightly at the speed before jumping away. Mother wants your blood. Gaara rolled as he kept sending his sand after Naruto, who continued dodging. Sorry mate. The only one who's gonna have my blood is my girlfriend, Naruto said and winked to Anko, who grinned. His little loss of focus earned his a sand arm to his gut, slamming him into the wall. Ow! He thought as he coughed up some blood. That really hurt, and it made me really pissed. And with that thought Naruto took out his staff and charged it with Yukai before throwing it at Gaara, who caught it with his sand. You're supposed to harm me with a glowing rod, Gaara said with a mocking tone. Naruto shook his head before smirking. No, I didn't intend to hurt you with my staff. It's the explosion that's gonna hurt you, he said, making Gaara's eyes widen. He only had time to turn his head before the staff exploded. Gotcha, Naruto said with a satisfied smile, which disappeared as soon as the smoke subsided to reveal a protective ball of sand surrounding Gaara. Damn, I forgot about that, Naruto thought before a wave of sand came charging him. He tried to dodge but found that his right foot was stuck. Looking down he saw sand crawling up his leg as the wave of sand came closer. Only one word came to Naruto's mind. Shit, he thought before biting his thumb and performing the necessary hand seals. He just completed them as the sand hit him and wrapped around his body. Up in the stands Yuhi Kurenai winced when Anko grabbed her hand. Hard. Die. Gaara shouted through a hole in his little sand shield and started closing his hand. Sabak, was all he could say before a shout of Kuchio's no jutsu was heard. The sand surrounding Naruto exploded in smoke. When the smoke dissipated, Naruto could be seen standing on top of a 20 feet black sun bear wearing a red cloak and a barstool in hand. Oi, what the hell am I doing out there? The drunken bear shouted, making the crowd sweat drop. Sake-san, have you been drinking again? Naruto asked in a disappointed tone and eyes closed. The bear had a sheepish look on his face and scratched the back of his head, wobbling a little in the process. Maybe just a glass or two, he said with a smile, making the crowd sweat drop again. Summoning a little teddy bear to help you Uzumaki. Fine. More blood for mother. Gaara shouted, freezing Sake and Naruto to the spot. Naruto? Sake asked with a twitching eye. Yay. Did he just call me a teddy bear? Yay. He's so dead. Sake shouted and raised his barstool before slamming it down on Gaara, who smirked. His smirk was quickly replaced by a look of fear as the barstool went right through his sand armor and into his head, thus sending him into blissful unconsciousness. Genma slowly peeked out from behind his hiding spot behind the only tree in the arena. Anyo, Shusha Uzumaki Naruto, he announced, making the crowd burst into cheers. Temari lost her fight against Shino, who used his Kikai bugs to eat all her chakra. Final match, Uzumaki Naruto vs Aburame Shino. Hajime. Good luck Shino-san, Naruto said with a smile. Shino nodded. Good luck to you too Naruto-san, he said, and Naruto nodded before throwing 3 wind cards at Shino, who raised his bug shield. Shino's eyebrows went past his hairline when the cards went right through the shield. Shit, he said before dodging to the left, though one card nicked him on the arm. How, was all he could say while Naruto smiled. Well, judging from your fight with Temari-san, your bugs eat chakra. So I pumped my cards with twice as much chakra than usual and threw them twice as hard, letting them get through your shield before they managed to eat all the chakra, he said, making Shino nod in understanding. That was very smart of you Naruto-san, but now that you've told me how you do it, I can just make the shield thicker. Naruto nodded. Well, I see 3 choices here. 1. You make your shield thicker and I pump my cards with even more chakra. 2. I summon Sake-san again and let him rip you apart. Or 3. You give up, he said with a grin. Shino just stood there for a while thinking of possible strategies. When he couldn't think of any, he raised his hand. You make a good point Naruto-san. Proctor, I surrender, he said, and Genma nodded. Aburame Shino has given up. Shusha, Uzumaki Naruto, he announced, making the crowd, once again, erupt into cheers. Naruto just smiled and waved before walking out of the arena. Once he got outside, he was glomped by Anko, who took him back to her house for some well-deserved reward sex.